Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. Today is Wednesday, March 5th of 2025. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, I've been kind of going back and forth in my head of trying to figure out what would be a good topic for you guys. And I think it's how to become better at what we're doing and never become complacent. But I'll explain more. Hang tight. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. If you didn't already know it, my name is Eric, and yes, this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Wednesday, March 5th of 25. So what are we talking about today? I'm talking about, you know, it's easy to look at somebody else, and if they're achieving what we would classify as greatness, being envious of them, right? And a lot of times we don't know what has gone into and what that person has given up to become good at what they do. We want the end result, but are we willing to put the time in to get where that person is? And I always use the pole vaulting. I don't know why, but we can also use the trumpet without having Jason's daughter's help. Of thinking that right out of the starting gate that we're going to be able to know how to do it. And that's just not the way it is. I mean, there are some gifted children that can do anything, right? Whether it be music, writing Bach. But for most of us, it's a learning process, right? And it's trial and error. It's trying to figure out what way works for us. I've said this before, that I could lay out steps of how I went from starting the business to almost $1 million in part sales. And if you follow those steps, does not get you to where I got. First of all, I'm going to leave out some steps. I already know that because there were so many of them. And a lot of them I didn't even look at as steps. I had to adapt. I had to be willing to change. I had to be willing to sacrifice. And looking back, did the things that I sacrificed worth what my achievement was? Not really. That was the thing with me and you'll get there eventually. But that's what I thought I needed, was to achieve greatness, to show everybody that I was worthy, if that makes any sense. Because I wasn't driven by, I was internally driven, but I was also externally driven by trying to become better, become the best. And I can even remember for almost a year and a half when I was writing code and setting up e-commerce websites and getting databases built to upload to eBay and Amazon. And I talk about back when eBay was more like a classified ad, and it was all based on trust. But that's where we started, and it was slow going, and people said, you need to give up on it, it's not going to work. Because I was putting in 16, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I wasn't getting results. I was getting results in getting things built up to where they needed to be. But at the time, people were not buying their parts online. You went to your local dealer, right? And you got the parts you needed. So at the time, people were saying, why are you wasting your time here? You got a bachelor's in IT. You can write code. You can write apps that are coming into... And a lot of my friends went that way and did very well writing apps for companies and setting up e-commerce platforms and running servers. I got a really close friend that I graduated with. He's working for a big antivirus company, trying to poke holes in corporate websites to help make them more secure. And they were getting results. They were getting paid. And mine was putting in a lot of time, but not seeing much for results. What kept me going from the start until things changed? I had a vision. I had an idea of where I thought the future was going to be, and that was going to be people ordering parts online. And if I could provide it cheaper, faster, because that was one of my factors that I got me started in it, was when Claude and I first started doing repairs, we had a local dealership that did steel, MTD, Simplicity, you name the bunch. And if we needed parts to fix anything for a customer, we were going to them, okay? And a lot of times what they would do is they had a sheet, and they would start on a Monday, and then hopefully by Friday they had enough people that wanted parts so they could submit the order. I understand what they were doing, because it's hard for me. If I order from any one of my dealerships or distributors and stuff, you're going to get hit with shipping, all right? So I got tired of waiting on the parts because customers were getting irate, and totally understandable. But I couldn't push that dealership to do it any faster. And it was like it wasn't their problem. And they weren't stocking a lot of parts to where you could just walk in and get it, right? So then I started signing on with a number of OEM companies and aftermarkets. And I could get it the next day, but I had to pay the shipping. And the shipping a lot of times was 3 to 4 times the cost of the actual part that I needed. So then I started to understand the loan dealership at that time of making a list and hoping by the end of the week you had enough people that wanted parts that there was enough profit there to at least cover the shipping and put a few bucks in your own pocket, right? Now a lot of the companies, a lot of the dealerships, what they say is it's going to cost you X number of dollars plus shipping. And many of us already knew, why not go to eBay or Amazon and get free shipping, right? So the local dealerships have lost that market. But getting back to, what I had to put into it, and this isn't about me, it's to say, don't be envious of other people unless you know the struggles they went through. And are you willing to give up a lot of those things that they did? It's easy to look at somebody else that has become good at what they've done or doing or have done. But we tend to look at the end results and not the individual and what they had to go through. But no, so I ended up, I signed up with the dealerships, distributorships, and stuff like that. And I found, okay, so that's where the issue is. It's the shipping to get the product to me. And I couldn't get any of them to use USPS first class because at that time that was the cheapest. You want to send me a carburetor kit, it costs less than $3. Put it in a envelope and send it. And then I got to thinking, you know what? Maybe I could do that. Maybe I could create a one-stop shopping of where you could order your part, get it shipped, and at the time we did charge shipping, but it was first class for almost the bulk of the parts. If it was the heavier ones, people understood that there was going to be a shipping charge. But for the lighter ones, I just started figuring it in to what the shipping was and then put it down as free shipping. Even though it wasn't free shipping because they were paying for the shipping, but it was built into the price. Basically, what I was trying to accomplish was give them one price to look at with no hidden fees, and that's what they're going to pay. And as I built that, when people started ordering parts online, when they would order one, I'd order two. Because thinking, well, if one person wanted it, probably another person's going to need it too, right? So I started buying two of each every time somebody ordered. And what I was getting from the customer for the order was covering the cost of two of them. Instead of taking half the money in profits and sticking it in my bank account, I put it back into inventory. And then I built that inventory up to a lot of money in parts for inventory. A couple $100,000 that we were stocking. The big stuff was easy because I would just drop ship from the manufacturer or the distributor. And the more I did this, the more parts I was ordering, the more I got noticed by the distributors and the aftermarket companies of how can we help you. See, that's what happens when you're in sales. If you see one person that's making a lot of sales and you're getting commission on it, you're going to figure out how to help that person. And like for Stens, instead of me being able to order out of one warehouse, there were 5. So if you lived in Florida and I lived in New York, you got shipped apart from the closest Sten dealer to my customer next day. And we developed a reputation for that. Of if you order, you can expect to receive it in a day or two. And a lot of guys would say, can you overnight it? And I'm like, why? I can get it to you overnight without the overnighting charges. That's how I built the business. It wasn't coming up with a vision and then putting in a few hours a week into it. No. I put my time in. And we're talking about welding, whether it be stick or wire, feed. The way you're going to become great at it is to first off understand and look and see what a good weld looks like. And then you're going to talk to people that do weld very well and ask them. And most people will be willing to help you. Get books on it. Do some reading on it. Do some searching online. The internet is YouTube is full of videos on people welding. So if you really wanted to weld, that's where I'd start. But I would also understand that I'm going to start out and it's not going to look pretty. To this day, my welds don't look pretty compared to the guys that do it and do it right. All I care about is, does it stick and does it hold? The test of time. So far, it's worked. But you have to understand the trials and tribulations people have gone through to get to the point of where they're really good at it. And going back to the pole vaulter or Jason's daughter with the trumpet, in order to become good at it, if you see someone that's really good at it, what you don't see is what they gave up to become good at it, to become great at it. Because I think that anyone can achieve anything if they're willing to put in the time, the effort, and go in the right direction. You can put the time and the effort, but are misguided on how to do it and spend your time chasing your tail. See, that's the other thing, is just because you're busy and you're putting in a lot of time and effort does not make you achieve greatness. It makes you tired. You have to know where you want to end up and the steps involved to get there, of what you're willing to give up and not give up. If I have a low number of customers coming because of the economy, I have to come up with creative ways to get other monies into the shop. Right? Or close the doors. But that's going to be based on me. How much time and effort do I want to put into getting more customers? Well, you have to start somewhere. And I've started doing that here a few months ago, where I started putting Facebook ads in, not marketplace per se, but in the groups. The groups where we're getting our work from. And they've been a tremendous help. But the next time you look at somebody and you see and you're envious and you say, oh, I wish I was them, be careful of what you wish for. Because you have no clue of what they went through to get to where they're at. And their willingness to give up a lot of things. And that may be family time, and sometimes losing the fact that the family is more important than any dollar and cents you'll ever make. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up. But if you want to achieve and become really good at something, you have to know the steps and how to get there and not just go through the motions and get tired. You have to know what a good weld looks like to achieve good welds. And you have to understand, the heat ranges and the different rods and how fast the wire feed is feeding. I mean, there's so many things that go into it, but every one of you are capable of learning if that's what you choose to want to become great at, is what I'm saying. So on that note, you guys have a great Wednesday, and we'll catch you here bright and early tomorrow morning. Thanks again so much for watching.